So today we're going to dive into the DNA of language, specifically how words become, powerful art.
Right, whether that art is printed in a book or blasted through speakers at a concert.
Exactly. We're going to look at the foundational rules and the techniques that connect classic poetry with modern song lyrics.
And our mission here is to give you a new way to listen and read. Because once you understand these building blocks, the rhythm, the structure, you start to see the hidden meanings everywhere.
In your favorite songs, in poems you study for class. It unlocks everything.
It really does.
Okay, so let's start with a bit of history here,
hmm
because I think this is pretty surprising for most people. The origins of poetry and song, they go back thousands of years,
Way back, to a time before writing was even a common skill.
which is a crucial point. If you can't write things down, how do you remember your history, your community's traditions?
You need a system, a really robust one. And the system they came up with was rhythm and rhyme.
Because it's a memory aid, right? It makes language sticky.
Incredibly sticky. It's what allowed people to memorize and recite thousands and thousands of lines perfectly, generation after generation.
So these ancient poems, they were never meant to be just read silently.
Not at all. They were designed for performance. They were meant to be sung or chanted, usually with some simple instruments playing along.
A drum, maybe a lyre.
Exactly. That's how they recorded historical events, shared stories, and expressed these big collective emotions.
So when you think of something like the Odyssey, that wasn't a book. It was this massive oral performance by traveling poets.
And that tradition of performance is the direct ancestor of modern music and literature. It's an unbroken line.
So every concert we go to is basically part of this ancient tradition.
Absolutely. What's amazing is how the basic structures have stayed so similar.
Okay, let's talk about that structure. The most obvious difference when you look at a page is the paragraph versus the stanza.
Right. In an essay, you use paragraphs. The text runs margin to margin. That's what we call prose.
But poetry breaks that. It organizes everything into these little groups of lines.
Called stanzas. And you can think of a stanza as the poetic version of a paragraph. It's a building block that gives the poem its shape.
It controls the rhythm, the pauses.
And some forms have really strict rules, right?
Right.
Like a sonnet has to have a certain number of lines, a specific rhyme pattern.
But then you have the opposite, free verse.
Yeah, free verse is what you see in a lot of modern poetry. It basically says, I'm not following any set pattern. No required rhymes, no counting syllables.
The structure comes from the emotion of the words themselves.
Exactly. And musicians use a really similar blueprint. They just have different names for it.
They have verses which tell the story.
And a chorus, which repeats and delivers that main emotional punch.
And a great modern addition to that structure is the bridge.
The bridge, yes. The bridge is so important. It's that part of the song that feels completely different.
It provides a contrast.
A total contrast, musically and lyrically. And it's there for a reason. When you hear the bridge start, you know a shift is coming. It might be the big realization in the story or the emotional turning point.
It kind of resets everything before that final chorus.
Perfectly put. It builds the tension one last time.
Okay, let's talk more about that feeling, that rhythm, because that's really the heartbeat of the whole thing.
It is. In poetry, we have a term for it. Meter.
Meter is just how we count the beats in a line, right? The pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables.
Yep. A stressed syllable is just when you say a little louder. Unstressed is quieter. That pattern creates the rhythm.
And the most famous example, the one everyone hears about, is iambic pentameter.
Which sounds incredibly complicated.
It really does, but it's not.
Not at all. And iamb is just a two-syllable unit. It goes unstressed, then stressed. So, da-diem.
Like the word destroy.
Perfect. And pentameter. Penta just means 5. So it's 5 of those da-dee beats in a line.
Da-dum, 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 da-dum.
Exactly. And here's the cool part. That rhythm is very similar to the sound of a human heartbeat. Shakespeare used it all the time because it just feels natural to our ears.
And music has the same idea, just with a time signature and a drum beat.
Right. And by controlling that rhythm, the writer controls the pace. A fast rhythm creates excitement. A slow one feels more sad or thoughtful.
Beyond the beat, you have rhyme. We all know what a rhyme is, but the pattern matters.
That's the rhyme scheme. It's just the pattern of rhymes at the end of the lines. We use letters to map it out.
So ABB would be, I saw a cat. A, who wore a hat. A, looks so blue. B, what could I do?
B. Exactly. But perfect rhymes like that can sometimes sound a little too simple, almost childish.
So great writers mix it up.
They do. They use something called a slant rhyme. This is where the words almost rhyme, but not quite. like rhyming shape with keep.
The vowel sound is close enough that your ear catches it, but it's not a perfect match. It gives it a bit of an edge.
It does. And then you have internal rhyme. This is a really cool technique.
This is where the rhyme happens inside the line itself, not just at the end.
Right, like I see the moon and soon it will be day. It creates this little musical pop right in the middle of the thought.
Okay, so once you have the structure and the sound, you get to the really fun stuff, figurative language.
This is how writers take something simple and make it unforgettable. It's all about making creative comparisons.
The two big ones are simile and metaphor.
A simile uses like or as. It's a gentle comparison. The clouds were like cotton candy.
And a metaphor is much more direct. It's stronger.
Right. Doesn't say something is like something else, it says it is something else. Her voice is music to my ears. Your brain has to make that leap.
We use these all the time without even thinking about it.
All the time, like personification, that's just giving human qualities to things that aren't human.
Whispering wind.
Or a stubborn par that won't start. We're making it relatable by giving it human traits.
And then there's hyperbole, my personal favorite.
Extreme exaggeration.
Right. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
Yeah.
You're not actually going to, but it gets the point across.
It communicates the intensity of the feeling. Another sound-based one is alliteration.
That's when you have a bunch of words in a row starting with the same sound.
Like, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. It just makes the line memorable and fun to say.
All of these techniques feed into what is probably the most important tool a writer has, which is imagery.
And when we say imagery, we don't just mean visual.
No, it's language that appeals to any of the five senses. Sight, sound, smell, touch, taste.
A great writer doesn't just tell you it's a sad scene. They show you. They describe the cold rain tapping on the window pane or the smell of dust in an empty room.
It puts you right there in the moment. You feel it instead of just being told about it.
That's the key. It creates a direct emotional connection.
And all of this work, the structure, the sound, the language, it's all in service of one thing, the theme.
The theme is the central idea, the underlying message the writer is trying to get across.
It could be anything, really. Love, loss, growing up, nature.
These are often universal themes, ideas that people can understand no matter where or when they live.
But when we're trying to figure out the theme, it's easy to confuse two things, tone and mood.
Yes, this is a critical distinction. Tone is the author's attitude about the subject. Are they being serious, humorous, angry?
It's how they feel.
Right. But mood is the feeling that you, the reader or listener, get from the work.
So a writer could use a very objective, detached tone.
But use short, choppy sentences and unsettling images to create a mood of anxiety or fear in the audience. Tone is the author, mood is the atmosphere.
And sometimes these forms are used to tell a full-on story. That's narrative poetry.
Exactly. A poem with a plot, characters, a beginning, middle, and end.
A really old version of this is the ballad.
Right. Ballads were originally folk songs that told stories of adventure, romance, or tragedy. Modern country and folk music are filled with them.
And in both songs and poems, you have that one part that keeps coming back to hammer home the main point.
In a song, that's the chorus. It's got the main idea, usually the catchiest tune. It's what you remember.
And in poetry, we call that a refrain.
Same exact idea. It's a repeated line or stanza. That repetition is powerful. It unifies the entire piece and drills the central message into your head.
Okay, so we have all these tools for poetry and lyrics.
Yeah.
How does this all stack up against just normal writing? Prose.
Well, prose is our default setting. It's essays, news articles, novels. It follows grammar rules, uses paragraphs. Its main job is to deliver information clearly.
Poetry's job is different.
Totally different. It's more focused on the beauty and the sound of the words, the arrangement, the white space on the page. It's all part of the experience. The main goal is usually to evoke a feeling or a mood.
So where do song lyrics fit? They seem to be somewhere in the middle.
They really are. They use all the tools of poetry or meter, imagery, but they're written to be combined with music. The music adds a whole other layer of meaning and dictates the rhythm.
So if any of this makes you want to try writing yourself, a good way to start is just to observe.
Yes. Pick one thing you see or one feeling you have and just try to describe it using, say, 3 different metaphors. Don't worry about making it a whole poem.
And the most important rule of all.
Read your work out loud.
Always.
It's the only way to hear if the rhythm actually works, if the sounds flow together. It doesn't matter if it's a poem or a song, you have to hear it.
So from now on, when you're listening to a song or reading a poem, try to listen for these things. Don't just hear what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
Exactly. Ask yourself, Why did they choose that word? Why did they break the line right there? It's all intentional.
Good luck with your studies.